Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Meredith is with me today.
Hello.
Yes. So we're doing another check-in on our contest prep. We are now 18 weeks out.
Whoop whoop.
Woot woot. Does it feel like it's going fast?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever fast to the person doing it, huh?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yes. So has your excitement for it changed at all from day one?
No.
Good. Now, were
Yeah.
you excited at all on day one? Would be a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were fired up. You wanted to do
I
this.
was. Yeah, our first, when we started to track the journey, I was super fired up.
Yeah. So you're still feeling fired up.
Yes.
Now, we had some good reasons to be fired up. What happened with the weight scale this week?
You told me I hit an all-time weight low PR of
Yes.
us since we've been together.
Yeah, since we've been dating since middle of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I saw your weight the first time we dated.
Hey, nice to meet you. Hop on the scale.
Yeah. Yes. So whatever our first doctor's appointment that we went together with,
Yeah.
I kind of forget. There's been a few.
It's been a few hundred.
Yes. But yeah, so since we've met, you're the lightest you've ever been.
Yep.
And we stated before in the past podcast that we're tracking body weight as a data point. We know that for you to step on stage, like super shredded, we are going to be lighter than we are today.
Correct.
Yes. So it is something we track to make sure that we're trending in that direction, but we don't really care how much we weigh on stage.
Right. It's not a weight competition.
Yes, it's an aesthetics competition, yes. But that was cool. That's always good motivation to know things are progressing well. And then just in our workout today, we just trained legs.
Yeah, so if I leave in the middle of the podcast to puke or
Yes.
anything like that, that's why.
I'll hold it down. Yes.
Oh, it was so awful. Good
Yeah.
awful, but ugh.
But awful, yeah. And in our workout, we actually hit a volume PR compared to a month ago. So we've been tracking a couple exercises. One has been the hack squat,
Yes.
and you crushed that.
That is a beast of a machine.
Yes. But it's really good.
Yeah.
So one of the areas you wanted to work on your lower body was your quad sweep.
Yep.
Yep, and the hack squat's going to do wonderful for that.
Because I have blocky quads
Mm,
in my mind.
I can understand it, yeah.
Yeah. So I want that nice curved swoop, and I want a lower glute pop, but I've wanted that since we've been dating.
Yeah. Now, when we first started, we had to fix a lot of your posture. We had a lot of super tight calves, which were jacking up your knees anytime you try to do anything
Yeah.
like a hack squat, for example. When we first started training, when
Like
we first met,
impossible.
you couldn't do a hack squat.
No, then my knees hurt.
Yeah, so we had to work on the calves, and we had to work on your hips from all the years of dancing. Your hip turnout
Yes.
was quite extreme.
It's like PTSD on my face. Just thinking back to all of those things.
Yeah, that was a lot of therapies, but we got you through it. So now we are able to do things like hack squat to build your quad sweep.
That's right. Yeah, my knees didn't, knock on wood,
Yeah,
didn't hurt.
and now things like RDLs and single leg stiff leg deadlifts and whatnot, they all are able to at least contract your lower glute because in your previous positions,
Yeah, I
the
could
upper
never
glute
get it.
took all of the effort. Yeah, so it was good. It's been a couple years of working on those corrections, through the chaos of COVID and everything that was that. But now that you're in a better body position, we can actually grow the muscles that you've been wanting to grow this whole
I
time.
know, I'm excited. I'm really
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah.
Partially why I'm still very excited about the show.
I'm
It's
glad,
because
I'm
it'll
glad.
be a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Good. So how was your hunger this week? How was food?
Yesterday was the first day I had to distract myself from the hunger. When did we start recording? 24? 20?
Yeah, 24 weeks out. So it's been 5-ish weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yesterday was the first day where it was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. Now it's been a nice slow build up. Like we've dropped, I think from when we first started, we were down about 350 calories, but we got a
True.
doggo, and that has bumped your step count up
A couple
like
thousand,
a couple infinite amounts.
3,000 and extra.
Yeah. So you've been having more activity, 350 calories less. Our protein percentage right now is at 31%, so we have a little bit of room to bump that up to give you some more volume to your meals, and that can help you feel fuller. So how do you distract yourself when you feel hungry? but you're not scheduled to eat, what are some methods that you use?
Interesting. Let's see. What did I do yesterday? I grabbed a diet caffeine-free soda.
Yes.
Sipped on that for a good 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And that can help.
That out. Gum.
Yeah,
sometimes.
you do cinnamon gum?
Yeah, cinnamon. Sometimes the sugar-free gum makes me more hungry.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I don't chew sugar-free gum.
Okay.
I don't like the way I feel after chewing that.
Okay.
Try to read. I studied.
Yeah.
Oh, I decided to take a final instead.
Yeah,
So
you decided to
6 or
tackle some of
7
the
hours worth of finals.
crap of life work you had to do.
Yeah. But that was tough. I knew I had 7 hours of finals to do, so I had to time food so that I wasn't trying to do the exam really hungry.
Yeah, which is
because that would
so rough.
mess me up mentally, and I wouldn't be able to concentrate. So something I didn't really, I don't want to say I didn't think about it, but to be aware of, okay, I'm going to be hungry today.
Mm-hmm.
How do I eat around my exams so I don't go crazy?
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, a lot of people, when they're hungry, they're going to, your attention to detail starts to wane a bit because you're just thinking about food or you're just tired and you don't feel like you have the energy to focus. So that can be something that is a challenge for people, is to say, okay, if I only have X number of calories per day, how can I allocate those best so I feel the best, but it's not like 6 hours before bed, all of a sudden I've eaten all my food and now I'm hungry as hell.
I try not to do that. And I realized I didn't have the string cheese I normally eat.
Yeah.
So when I was getting close to dinner and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm extra ravenous, I realized I didn't have those.
Yeah.
So then even realizing how meticulously the food is planned to carry you from one thing to the next.
Yes. Yeah, meal timing for us is it's a component I use a lot for clients, like when we help them get into shape. You'll hear every theory under the sun how meal timing isn't that important for weight control.
Who says that? I want names.
Yes. It is true. You can control your weight with variable meal timing, but you don't always feel good or look your best with variable meal timing. So meal timing is one of those components where if you're wanting to maximize the way you look and the way you feel, not just manage how much you weigh. Meal timing is a very important component. It's a tool in a tool belt that if you're not using, you're missing out.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, with your finals and everything, it was a long day yesterday. We decided not to train yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mentally, I was mentally kind of done. I didn't have it in me to do a hard workout.
Yeah. Now, you might not have it in you to answer this question, but how do you balance that? How do you balance? Okay, I feel like I should work out, but I feel like I shouldn't. Oh, okay.
I asked my coach.
Yeah, and your coach said it was
my
okay.
Husband.
Yeah.
My coach said it was okay.
Yes.
My coach said, "Well, that's reasonable since you woke up doing exams.
Yeah.
So we can account for that tomorrow. Tomorrow will suck more, but we can account for that."
Yes.
And that's why I'm sitting here on the verge, feeling like I'm going to throw up.
Yes. So if you need to peace out to go grab a core power or something, go for it.
Yep.
But yeah, your coach is me,
Yep.
and it does help. And
so if I didn't live with my coach, I'd send a
Yes.
text saying, I am burned out from exams and homework assignments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it in me other than all of the walking I did with my dog.
Yeah.
Can you account for this tomorrow?
Yeah. And that's also something where, say like a program is written for 4 days a week and you still have the next day you could have done your fourth. So it's like you have your fourth workout, I either do Saturday or Sunday. Well, if Saturday you feel like crap, do it on Sunday.
Right.
So that's an easy way. Now let's say you're supposed to do it that day and you run into a day like this where you just feel like crap. Then it is helpful to talk to your coach. Hopefully you have a coach that's pretty quick in response.
Right. Or say
and modify stuff.
Maybe it's the diet that gets modified. Maybe it's an extra mile walk. Maybe it's, who knows what it is. But I would check in. And part of that is knowing myself enough to say, I don't have it in me that if I was going to expend the energy, I wouldn't get the return on the movements. I wouldn't get the
That's a very good
return
point.
on the intensity. I'd be better off. I think I'd be better off waiting to tomorrow. Let me check in and see.
Yeah, and that's definitely a very valid point. Is if you just go through the motions, the motions they're not worth as much.
Right.
So you got to actually show up with some intent to go full intensity. You know? So or whatever your intensity is supposed to be.
That, and like by the time everything was done, like I wasn't going to do this workout at 7 at night.
No.
Like I had nothing in me. I was already really hungry.
Yeah. And actually a good point is we wouldn't have done this workout yesterday.
True. That's true.
So the modifications I made, for example, is we switched from a high volume over to heavy, more sheer force damage. And part of the benefit, part of the reason of that is if you have an extra day of recovery between when we expected you to have it, you have an extra day of recovery, I know that you have less muscle damage carried over from the previous workout. So therefore, we need heavier weight load to push that muscle damage back down to where we want it to be.
Yeah.
So we always train with an existing level of muscle damage. That keeps your metabolism sky high, allows me to feed you a lot of food, allows for high turnover, like protein synthesis turnover, so we get a lot of muscle shape and development. So it's very beneficial to work out in a pre-fatigue state if your programming your coach knows how to do that. But by having the extra day off, we weren't as much of a pre-fatigued state, so therefore we had to create more fatigue.
We had to do
we had to create more muscle
sheer
damage.
force.
Yes. So if anytime we miss a day of training, I do modify your workouts accordingly to get us back on track to the muscle damage that we typically want to carry from workout to workout.
Yeah. And it's understanding the process, knowing there's a trade-off, and I'm going to pay for it. So I'm working out always damaged, so it feels hard, but it's never this, I don't want to say never, that's a strong word, but it's not this, I am just going to get my ass handed to me today. It's everything just sucks. I'm used to it. Today was I need to catch my breath doing RDLs.
Yes.
So it's definitely, I can feel the difference, but I know it's like I have to do 70 things across 7 days.
Yeah, that's true.
So do I do 10 every day or 20, 10 and 10, 5, 5? Like I know I have to do this amount of sheer work.
Yeah.
So how do I, knowing I have to get X amount of calories in a day, X amount of protein in a day, X amount of work in a week, there's a little bit of wiggle room now. There's less wiggle room the closer we get.
Yes, that's true.
So it's,
I think it's helpful, like, for people to know that modifications can be made, and often modifications have to be made. Like, you're not going to predict your life from 18 weeks out. You know, like, no one knows what's happening over the next 18 weeks. So you just try your best. Yes. So one of the things, like, we'll play with is our typical length of workout is roughly 20-30 minutes. Yeah. So
what was today?
Well, today would be 40.
40,
it was
right?
like a little over 40. It was like 42 minutes.
Yeah, I thought it felt
So,
long.
and that's because we had to make that trade-off. Yeah. So what I like, though, is this style of training, the longest workouts we do are 40-ish minutes. So people who have struggle trying to fit life, like gym, into the life, they often will struggle because the workouts are an hour, or then plus you have an hour of cardio on top of that. You know, so they'll do contest preps that require an hour and a half, 2 hours a day.
Yeah, that was me, 2.5 hours.
And that's just, it's not feasible for most people in most situations. So
I would say it took me years to undo the feeling like I needed to work out for 2.5 hours a day.
That's a fun thing to unpack a bit.
And if I didn't do an hour and a half, I was a failure and I was weak.
It's tough, yeah. Like,
so realizing I only needed 20 minutes a day, that was a big shift. And sometimes I still struggle with feeling like it's not enough, because for years it was always longer than that.
Especially coming from a CrossFit background.
Yeah.
The CrossFit people we work with, you're used to just burying yourself into the ground and then somehow doing it again tomorrow, even though you're eating like a keto diet.
And then again and again.
Yeah. I have no carbohydrates, but let me do 2-a-days every single day. So CrossFit is used to pain and misery.
Yep.
So you actually start to create a self-identity around that as well. is I'm a person who can manage this. I'm a person who is tough enough to do this. So then when you tell somebody they don't have to, you actually they start to question it because it's an identity component.
Then that's where we said if you run into a vegan CrossFitter, which one do they mention first?
Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Yes. So, but that is true. Is when you tell somebody who's used to things have to be the worst ever. Now, this is actually true in business. A lot of people in business think the only way you're going to grow is sleep 4 hours a night, never see your family, grind, right?
Yeah.
And then you see a book like Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. Hustle culture. There you go. But then you hear theories that are counter to that, and often the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and it comes in seasons. Meaning there's going to be waves where you have to push a little harder for longer, waves you don't have to do as much, for less. But I think it's helpful to touch on training that you do have to be uncomfortable, but you don't have to be in the gym for 2 hours a day to make progress. Yeah. So it's somewhere in the middle.
Quality over quantity.
Yes. So I guess another kind of finishing touch before we move on is if somebody's feeling like they could potentially be doing too much, you possibly could be. There is another alternative often. Oh, yeah. If somebody wonders if they're doing enough, well, if you're not making progress, then maybe you do need to do more. And there's probably an alternative to what you're doing. Yeah. So if it feels like whatever you're doing can't be sustained, keep looking for another option. Well said. Well, thank you.
It's like the people that only feel important if they're, quote, busy.
Yes, I mean, that's a very addictive component because once you teach yourself to be busy, you don't know what to do when you're not busy. And you feel like you're failing. Like I know, as we've talked about this before, as like an entrepreneur, and this impacts other job fields as well. But like if I'm not busy, it's like, oh shit, like what I did something wrong. If I don't have like an endless to-do list of potential of helping people or making money or growing the business, and then all of a sudden I sit there and I'm like, well, what do I do next? That's a scary question. If I don't have that question already answered, oh my gosh, yeah.
Spiral.
That's very scary. So when we're talking about diet and training and everything this week, one of the things that's been a challenge for you last week and this week has been we have normal life plus now taking care of a dog, which is great, but it's still a stress. And you had a lot of schoolwork this week. How do you manage this? How do you manage everything?
I have no idea.
Well, you're doing it.
But I don't.
You don't know how you're doing it?
No.
Yeah. I think your coffee mug has a pretty good...
One day at a time?
Yes, pretty good piece of advice.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
I think it's getting into the habit of trying to prioritize, like, what are my priorities today? If I feel overwhelmed, take a look ahead. What's due, by when, deadlines, work backwards.
Yes.
Now that I'm getting wiser in my years, it's also realizing you can't do it all the time. My dad used to tell me, you're always trying to burn the candle at both ends.
I don't know what you mean. Dad.
Well, then don't dip the candle so there's two wicks. Yeah. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Perfectionist tendencies and always trying to be better and better and better. I have no idea why I have anxiety.
None. Yeah.
So all of that to say, how did I do it? I don't know. I realized like there was one day this week where my anxiety and depression was so high. I thought, oh, this isn't a good feeling. And I was questioning a lot, and it was just a low day, and I thought, I should probably go to bed early.
Yeah.
And it was like night and day the next day.
Oh, sleep helps so much. Yeah, so much.
So I realized if I get higher quality sleep, I'm more equipped to tackle things the most important early in the day.
Yeah, and I find also the timing of sleep. When you start to get sleepy, just go to bed and then get up earlier.
Yeah.
If you try to stay up through the fatigue, it screws up your sleep cycle, and it actually makes you sleep even more than you really should have. Like, you'll sleep 8 hours, where if you just went to bed now, you'd be fine at 6.
Quality's trash.
Yeah. And then the quality of the work you do is trash while trying to, like, grind through the sleepiness. So that's something I've changed in my life is instead of staying up till 3 in the morning and then trying to get back up at, like, 7 or 8, I'll just go to bed at 7 or 8 and wake up at 3.
Yeah.
I'll flip them. And it's infinitely better.
It feels so different.
Yes, because typically that second day, if I'm, say, like dead by 5 p.m., I've already gotten the really important things done. And, if washing the dishes gets the worst of my abilities, I think that's okay.
Yeah, right.
So I think one thing you touched on that we see a lot with clients is you said one of the steps you'll do is to check deadlines to see when things are due. Mm-hmm. So many people just react frantically. And they actually will go through their day without really a plan. It's just like a ping pong ball, just bing, 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 bing. And then they get to the end of the day and they got, quote unquote, a lot done, but they didn't get their big 1 or 2 or 3 things done. Mm-hmm. And then they feel more stress, more anxiety, more depression, and it just continues day to day. So, believe it or not, stopping to plan the day is significantly better than just trying to jam through the day without a plan in mind.
Yeah. And, for like 4 years we didn't have an option?
Oh, man, like we went through, we've talked about COVID craziness. We had COVID, everybody had COVID, but your mom had a stroke, my dad had cancer. You went through job change, the gym was threatened to be shut down, and then I had to kind of deal with getting that back up and running.
You name it, we dealt with it.
Yeah, it was
basically.
A lot. So.
And I know we've talked about, like, we still feel the burnout from those years.
Oh, yeah.
Still feel it.
Yeah, it's 2024, and I'm still fatigued, like emotionally, mentally, physically.
Yeah.
Just tired. Yeah.
And that's part of the overwhelm. It's we not being able to slow down for a very long time.
Yeah.
So.
Uh-oh.
Remember, I know you didn't remember, but in 2020, when I said this was like one of the least stressful years.
Yeah, which was hysterical and chilling.
It's terrifying.
Like, oh dear God.
One of my palms was just like open skin.
Oh yeah, you have eczema.
24/7.
Stress
it
eczema.
Was my entire palm. It looked like I just rubbed
it
it
looked like
over.
a 3rd degree burn.
It did. It looked like I rubbed it over a cheese grater multiple times.
Yeah.
And looked like a 3rd degree burn. I was always walking around with it like bandaged.
Mm-hmm.
And
then we found out you were allergic to Band-Aids.
Well, the cheap shit Band-Aids, yeah.
And that cream, like the antibiotic.
Oh, the Neosporin.
Yeah, so your life is like, your body hates you so badly.
I can't.
It's allergic
my
to
body
the things that
hates
kill you.
sugar. I get hiccups.
Yeah.
I can't have Neosporin and Band-Aids.
You can't nap. You have to be dead to nap.
I have to have 100, like 3-4 fever.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah.
But it was 2020 was so much more calm than 2019 that my eczema healed.
That is insane. But I do know, yeah. Like
So
2019
I'm a
was wicked for you.
little burned out from all the things.
Yeah, you can go back to like birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't think about it.
Yes.
And get really tired.
But I think that's one component for
How
you
did
for
we
the
get
stress. Like, how do you manage stress?
Oh.
Yeah, is to vent.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Try to sleep it off, get a dog.
Yeah, try to, plan everything. Plan. Because you're never going to get everything done. So just make sure you get the most important things done.
Trade-offs.
Yes, absolutely.
I knew even yesterday, just as soon as I wake up, doing my 2 hardest exams, rather than studying all day Saturday and taking it Sunday morning. Yeah. Like, how much more am I really going to retain in an extra 8 hours?
That is
versus the trade-off of I could have like 4 hours to feel like I could breathe before going back to everything, and that meant more to me than a high pass. I want to do well, but if I don't get a high pass, in that instant, the trade-off was I need some mental bandwidth more than I need this to be a perfect score.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of things in life that do have to be done 100%. Then there's a lot of things, and probably more things, that 80% is good enough than other things that you can just half-ass your way right through.
Yeah.
You know, like if you need to wear some old clothes for a couple of days because you don't do laundry yet, totally fine.
Sorry, I'm distracted, y'all. This has so much sugar that like 2 sips and I feel better.
It's amazing. So she's referencing a monster juice that I will drink from time to time. I'm a nutritionist and I drink energy drinks. I do understand that we have clients who will not consume, like I have clients that are very hesitant towards any sugar whatsoever, believing it'll cause cancer. And it's like,
Sugar?
yeah. And so we'll talk those things through. I'll share some YouTube videos and some research. And then there's clients with caffeine concerns. We have clients that go through every nutritional thing you can think of. So for me personally, I will drink an energy drink when I am tired or I want the energy. It doesn't mean I think everybody has to, but I do it. So the energy drink I'm drinking does have a lot of, how many grams of sugar does it have?
46.
46. So that's quite a bit. Like a can of Coke, I think, is like 60 or something. I don't even know. I don't drink that, but this is essentially the same thing. So
I feel like 3 sips and I got 8 grams of sugar.
yeah, because your body had, like, we just burned up all your glucose. Well, you didn't even have glucose. Whatever glucose you would have had, because you don't eat more carbs than you burn off in a day.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have retained glucose.
Yeah.
But whatever your body would have been in there, burned it off. Yeah. And glucose is our fastest, easiest. Well, not technically
That's
fastest
the third
because you have
ingredient.
creatine.
Carbonated water, sugar, glucose.
Oh yeah, that's straight glucose. So glucose is one of the fastest energy sources we have. So when you consume glucose, your body will put that right into the bloodstream, and then that's why you feel infinitely better right now. That's an Emetrol. The Emetrol you use is basically just
syrup.
glucose. Yeah, it's glucose syrup.
Yeah.
So you can just sip on an energy drink, although probably don't want caffeine.
No.
Just sip on a sugar drink, like fruit juice or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like a new person.
Yeah, so Emetrol, like any kind of nausea medicine that's supposed to make you feel better in a couple minutes, it often has some glucose in it. But you can use fruit juice like fructose, and that would be a totally fine thing. Too much fructose can cause like digestive issues. Right
Probably
away.
gonna have hiccups now. From, like,
Yeah, because there's
4
sugar.
sips.
But yeah, we got sidetracked on that, and I'm probably talking too much of the sciencey stuff.
No, I like the science.
Okay.
I mean, so what?
We do.
We like science
it.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
So, but yeah, so I use the Monster Energy drink as essentially a pre-mixed workout, like pre-workout. So I have a pre-workout mix, a powder from NutriCost, which I just started this week. It's not bad. I don't mind it. It doesn't have the glucose in it, so you don't get like an immediate energy boost, but you get pretty good focus. Mm-hmm. So it's like a sustainable energy, whereas the Monster Energy, my body, just for background, I'm immune to caffeine. I can drink an energy drink and fall asleep.
Facts.
Like I've literally drank my energy drink and then fell asleep with my computer.
Yep.
So I have very poor sleep quality. I've gone and got sleep apnea tests. It has to do with the way my throat is formed from when I was an infant, and I had surgery on it and stuff. I have Pierre-Robin syndrome, so I don't sleep very well. Now, you've unfortunately been around for all of that. So yes, so I don't sleep great. So the energy helps from time to time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're 300 pounds, so you burn through that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, like 40-some grams of sugar for me at 300 pounds
Is nothing.
doesn't really do anything. Yeah, like negative-wise. Now, do I just want to be drinking that all the time? No, and that's why I don't. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, there's definitely different rules at 300 pounds versus, say, 130.
Yeah, and it's fun at dinner when you're trying to gain weight and I'm trying to lose weight.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have twice as much chicken, 2 bags of rice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I pour on whatever of the sauce I want because it doesn't matter.
Mine's very measured.
Yeah, you have 6 ounces of chicken, half a bag of rice, and then you get your shrimp sauce.
My sauce.
Yeah.
That's going to eventually probably go away.
Yeah, eventually we're going to have to make some changes because you are getting hungry.
Yeah.
So one of the ways to combat that is to, switch your foods over to less nutriently dense foods. So you have higher volume of food.
I'd rather put like Frank's Red Hot on it and eat a higher volume of veggies.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff we would do is start to switch out calories. You're basically switching out carbs and fats. We want to keep protein percentage around 35%, which is what it's going to eventually kind of top off at. Mm-hmm. And then from there, the remaining fats and carbs, you would choose sources that digest at the rate in which you want. Mm-hmm. So if you're eating a meal at 9 and we want it to be burned off and hungry again by noon, then there's a certain certain groups of foods in carbs and fats that would fit that. But within that group, then you would choose the less nutriently dense so you can eat more volume at your meal. Now that's kind of, you play with that depending on individual person. So for example, at 9, you might be in the middle of your workday. You don't want a big volume meal because you got to eat quick. So you would pick really high nutriently dense foods. But maybe at noon, you're not going to eat again until 3, but at noon you have time, and you're like, okay, I kind of felt how small 9 o'clock meal was, so at noon I have like a bigger meal. Well, you can't get a bigger meal from calories, you have to get a bigger meal from volume. So you would switch out things like rice, you would switch it over to, like a common change is from rice to sweet peas to corn. Because sweet peas is roughly about half the carbs as rice, and then corn's about half the carbs as sweet peas. So you can actually keep the volume the same, but you end up eating what feels like more and more and more and more. So there's different trade-offs.
I'd happily eat peas instead of rice.
Yeah, well, we're going to be...
we're going to do it.
Even if you wouldn't happily do it?
I would do it anyway.
Yeah, we're going to eventually start trading out our carb sources from what would be considered starchy carbs to more like vegetable-type carbohydrates. We just got to watch fiber content and, some people will have allergies related to like nightshades and certain other types of vegetables. So it's just testing those things out and making sure that the person adjusts well to it.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that was a bunch of extra stuff.
Good.
So what do we have coming up this week?
Intensive week.
Yeah, intensive week at Kellogg. So cool. Going down to Miami, and you're going to be in class pretty much all day from Tuesday to Saturday.
Yep. Tuesday all day through Saturday.
Yeah.
All day. It's.
Now we talked about.
And they even say, don't make plans at night because you won't have time for plans.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
You will not have time for fun. Don't plan fun.
No. But it's good though because it's 2 classes and you do 2 classes in 5 days.
So it's a lot of like homework in the evenings and stuff like that. You think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was like intensive week year 1. So it's all assignments and work all the time.
Yeah, you guys would work till like 11:30. Then it was like some people would be social.
Yeah.
And then but you have to get right back up at 6 the next morning.
There was a day when we were in the study room until like 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, pretty intense.
What?
Which is why it's called that, intensive week.
So we'll see. So going into that.
Now we talked about nutrition down in Miami. The food is catered.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of pick your protein. What has protein? How much of it do I need? And then what has carbs or fats? How much of it do I need?
There's always a protein in a vegetable, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy to eat healthy down there.
It really is.
The healthy stuff is there, so you just eat it and then you move on.
What's going to be tough is because I'll be up so many more hours in a day that the hunger is going to be...
Yes, it's interesting.
I'm going to be very aware of it.
Yeah, and that's going to be something fun, like speaking as your coach and then you as the athlete kind of deal with it. This is fun, is typically the calories that a person is given should be in reference to whatever their norms are. So let's say, for example, a person sleeps 6 to 8 hours a night, they work out 4 times a week, the rest of the time they're at a desk job. There's a certain amount of calories you're going to burn based on that lifestyle. Now all of a sudden you switch that up and maybe you go a week where you're traveling, so you're going to be hiking in the woods, climbing mountains, going to see special events, like step count goes from 2,000 to 10,000. Maybe you don't lift weights that week because you're out traveling and it's a vacation, but you just quadrupled your general activity, which more than makes up for the calories you were burning in a workout. Absolutely more than that. So then it starts to become, okay, well, do I eat more or do I not? And the answer that would be ideal is you eat what you need to feel what you would normally feel.
Good point.
Now, that's a very hard thing to actually quantify, but that's essentially what you would be going for as a coach is, okay, we know that you're normally in X amount of deficit. So you have an X energy deficit where you can kind of feel that you're hungry at your next meals. You get to the end of the day and you're fine. You had okay energy, but you weren't bouncing off the walls, but you're also not ready to kill everyone because you're so hungry.
The hanger.
Yes. So our goal would be to maintain the same percentage of protein.
Yeah.
So you just increase everything. If needed, if you've been doing more things and you're awake longer, you would increase carbs, fats, and protein. You keep 35% protein, but then you just eat enough to get through the day, but try not to just pig out and eat because all of a sudden you're allowed a little more. So somebody's like, well, I really only need maybe 250 calorie extra snack before I go to bed. Well, now that I know I need something a little before bed, all of a sudden it turns into an 800 calorie ice cream bar and
oh gosh, yeah. I'll probably have to veer towards the volume, like veggie volume.
Yeah.
Like sneak some stuff to like save for later or something.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and then the other strategy is to front load your day.
Yeah, for sure.
Eat more at breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
And then taper off throughout the day.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh man, I overeat lunch, well, it's easy, just under-eat dinner.
Like I had my bagel sandwich this morning, and I thought, I feel like I just threw this down an empty hole.
Yes.
Like,
so what do you have, like for those who haven't checked in before, what's your breakfast?
Is it Canyon's? What's the bagel?
Yeah, Canyon bagel, gluten-free bagel.
I have a gluten-free bagel with whipped butter on it and sugar-free jelly and a full egg.
Yes, a microwaved egg.
Microwave, so it's still a little runny. It's delicious. So I make a bagel sandwich.
Yep. You have that. Then we have a Bobo's, which is it's like an oats.
It's like an oat thing with some fruit filling.
Yeah, it's like an oat-based granola bar kind of thing. And then you have Core Power, which is the protein drink. Yeah. Lunch is Bonza pasta, which is chickpea pasta.
Bonza pasta with chicken added, and then I'll have 3 cheese sticks as a snack before dinner, which is chicken and rice.
Yeah, so that's our current diet. And then, so basically down in Miami, what I would encourage anyone to do when they're traveling and they think they might need more food is eat more at breakfast, eat more at lunch, and then if you find out you didn't need that much, eat a little less at dinner. Yeah. Very easy. But if you under-eat breakfast, under-eat lunch, you're going to tend to overeat dinner, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the day. How are you going to fix that now?
And we have to bring some extra snacks because like we posted the little store in the hotel had there was nothing.
Oh yeah, they didn't really. They only had one the kind protein granola bar, but they're like $4 in that little store. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll plan for it. But that would be a good general advice if somebody's traveling and you think if I have to stay up later. Like one of our clients, they just started. I don't know all the proper terminology, but they got through med school. They started like their first kind of placement, and they're working from like 3 in the morning until like 11 at night. Yeah, it's crazy. They're like 14, 16-hour days. Yeah. And they're doing that 5 days in a row.
Yeah, they have to like cap the weeks at 100 hours. I don't know if it's changed.
Yeah, so she was saying how she's like, I've been counting my carbs, but I'm just so tired. And I said, well, how many carbs do you have? And she's like, 200? No, 100. And I was like, what?
100?
Yeah, 100 grams of carbs is it. That's all she was having. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Lord.
I was like, you got to triple that minimum. I was like, triple it. And then so I gave her advice and I said, start eating a hell of a lot more. And what happened was previously when she was going through med school and in circumstances that were similar schedule-wise, she would gain body fat. But the reason why was she was severely under-eating, so the body was starting to burn off muscle tissue, was starting to retain everything. Yes. So then whenever she would get back to normal eating, she'd overeat everything. The metabolism was trash. It's common, like people coming off Ozempic, people like the Majorno, those things where they're eating so little, their metabolism adjusted to the so little, and now all of a sudden they want to eat normal. It's like your body isn't
ready for that.
Hell no. So you're going to gain a ton of body fat, ton of weight. Yeah. So I encourage her to eat more, and she's already doing well. Just 1 week into it, she's already feeling well.
Especially her brain function is going to be tremendously different.
Yeah, I do not want an underfed doctor working on me. Yeah, I'm like every time we should go to the hospital, we should feed him protein and stuff when they come in the door.
I had a massage from a physical therapist once, and I brought him a Cliff Bar.
Smart.
I was like, here you go.
I need your A game, bro.
Yep. The massage was 2.5 hours long.
Oh man, yeah, you're gonna need some calories for that.
Brought him a Cliff Bar.
Yeah. I laugh like doing the physical therapy on people. Like my thumbs will cramp just in like 10 minutes.
I know.
Imagine like 2.5
You're trying
hours.
to like press on my calves. And you're like, I need a break.
Yeah. Remember how big my thumbs were? Like my thumb muscles. Like when I was doing all that, I had like massive thumbs. It's like PR and thumb growth.
I gotta say, I don't remember your large thumbs.
Well, I thought it was pretty cool. So
that's funny.
Yeah, and one of the things I laugh about is I was so paranoid to make sure I did a good job that I would use my left hand. I'm left-handed, so I'd use my left hand for more therapies than my right hand because I felt like my right hand was less coordinated, so maybe it wouldn't do as well. So then I started becoming more paranoid about how different the thumb pads were. My left thumb pad was bigger than my right thumb pad, so I was like, "Damn it, they're getting imbalanced." but I can't sacrifice the quality of the work and just use my right hand equally. So then I started getting really frustrated about not being coordinated enough with my right hand to do the therapies better. So then I started practicing the therapies right-handed on me, so I would get better to eventually maybe do them right-handed on you.
Oh my goodness.
So this is what's wrong with my brain. My brain is weird.
It's okay. We're both weird. It's good.
Yes. So that was a weird little side note. Yes.
That's good.
So, yeah. Okay. But, so yes, so that would be advice to anybody. If you go see a doctor, bring them food. Yes.
Ask your surgeon the last time they ate.
Hell yeah. Like, get that AM surgery. Like, right in the morning.
When I was volunteering with Healing the Children and I was in the operating room in El Salvador.
Yeah, yeah.
Those surgeries were 12, 14 hours a day.
Oh, that's insane. Didn't you reverse some girl's feet?
Yeah, the whole trip.
Yeah. That was insane.
There was one girl, she was born with her feet backwards. So she had two surgical teams, one on each foot, breaking the bones and flipping her feet around and stitching them up.
Oh my gosh.
I remember they allowed me to help mix the some into the anesthesia before
I'd vomit
I was zoned in. I thought it was the coolest thing to watch that. But the surgeons that were standing there for 5 hours, and that's two teams, so two surgical teams for 5 hours, and I'd open Ghirardelli squares and feed them.
Aww.
I'd go into the mask and be like, okay, don't bite my fingers, but
here's
and
food.
I'd try and feed them sugar.
Yeah.
Because it was 5-6 hours on their feet.
Oh, that's insane. Yeah, you'd be burning. Can you and also just the mental fatigue of standing there trying not to mess that up.
Meanwhile, the anesthesiologist walks out of the room and he's napping on the cot, and he comes back in. I was like,
so that's the job to be, huh?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny. But I had a really good time. But I remember, they always had
sugary
snacks in the OR.
I can understand that. Yeah.
So they could stay alert.
Yeah.
Those are long days.
Yeah, that's tough. And the mental fatigue gets people pretty quick. We talked about truck drivers we work with, and they'll overeat because of the mental fatigue, but they're sitting on the butt, so not really actually burning a lot of calories.
Yeah.
So it's challenging because your brain uses actually a significant amount of energy. Mm-hmm. Our brain burns glucose and
felt that taking my tests.
Yeah, feverishly. It does a damn good job of it.
It's wild.
So it's eating enough to fuel the brain, but it's actually less than what people would think because they're not physically active. But people will either do over restriction or overeating, and it's often the answer somewhere in that middle.
It's
ground.
the pregnancy eating for two, and it's
you don't need 1,000 extra calories. The baby ain't eating a pizza.
Yeah, the baby's the size of an apple.
Yeah,
here's 50 calories.
Yeah.
I hear that.
But yeah. So this week we're going to be traveling. We're going to keep up with our food as best as we can. Activity-wise, as of my approach right now is see what happens as we go. So we're going to still wear your pedometer. We're going to still watch step count.
Just realized I left my pedometer upstairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we'll still be wearing our pedometer during the day. We'll see where our step count is. And then I'm going to use that along with how you report feeling hunger-wise to then know, do we need to increase calories at all? Mm-hmm. So...
Now, if I was a remote client and I said I would check in, how would you have me rate my hunger?
Oh, this is fun. Usually I like the scale of 1 to 5.
Okay.
So...
5, I want to rip your head off. 1
the other way. 5 is I feel great. 5 is I feel great. 4 is I feel good. I'm okay. 3 is kind of average. There were moments where I was definitely hungry, but I'm surviving. I'm not happy, but I'm surviving. 2 is... I'm barely surviving. This is pretty bad. 1, this is the worst ever. I feel horrible. Can you please help me right now? Mm-hmm. So I use that 1 to 5.
Good.
I feel like a larger scale is too many variables, and then a smaller scale doesn't have enough detail to each number.
Yeah.
So 1 to 5 is what we ask people for: daily energy, workout energy, and then just general. I've actually used it for people to give me their opinion of how things are progressing.
Oh.
And this is often. There was one girl I was working with, woman, I was working with in California, and she was coming from a trainer who charged a lot of money and had given them a nutrition program that was just, here's the eat this much oats for breakfast with this many egg whites, and it was just, one meal option per meal. She had no clue how many calories or grams of protein anything was. but she hated the food. She was even allergic to like 2 of the items on the meal plan, and she had mentioned that to the trainer. And then the workouts were like full-on bodybuilder stuff where it took like an hour and a half. It'd be like 20 set workouts where you do a single set of something, wait for 3 minutes, single set, wait for 3 minutes, and it was like an hour and a half.
Full on Arnold.
Yeah. So I was like, her husband and I were working together, and she's like, I want to make a change, but I'm a little nervous. Yeah. Like, this is the only experience I have, and it's pretty awful. So I was like, well, how about we talk, tell me what you like, what you don't like, and then here's a scale of 1 to 5. So go through the first week. What did you think about each workout? What did you think about each day? How did you feel energy-wise? Give me some numbers. And then as we went week by week, I just adjusted anything that she wanted adjusted. Yeah. And then we found a good groove workout length-wise and food-wise.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going into week 18 now. Yep. And
weigh in tomorrow.
Cruising through.
Sweet.
Cool. Okay.
Check in again.
Yes. And then if anybody hasn't checked it out, we did go ahead and actually film a workout, part of a workout. So I threw that up on YouTube. So you can go to Brutal Iron Gym channel on YouTube. And it's titled Meredith, Upper Body Workout 19 Weeks Out. So we went through and I gave a little voiceover. I think it's about like 8 minutes or so of a voiceover in the workout. So we'll start filming those more and more as we get closer and closer. And that'll be motivating and fun for people to see so they can check that out. And then obviously you're listening to the podcast now, and we're going to keep trying to do these every week so people can check in with that story.
I like it.
Awesome. If you have any questions, if you need anything, if you ever want to make a request for what to hear in a podcast or anything you want to see on a YouTube video, just send us a message on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. If you go to the homepage, scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a contact form and you can send us any questions you want. I answer everyone that sends a message within 2 weeks. So if you haven't heard from me in 2 weeks, I probably lost your email. So let me know, send it again. But you can reach out anytime on the website. And then if you like the podcast, please share the podcast. The more people that know about it, the more people can be helped by it. If you like the podcast, you can consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on the website. And then, like I mentioned, check us out on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram as well. And if you do check us out, do follow us, because the more followers on each of those things, it promotes the videos to be shared more in algorithms and whatnot. So it reaches more people, can help more people. Okay, well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yes. And then, as always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.